Hi everyone, welcome to the Aroma Sun channel. Per request, we will be exploring all plant archetypes and then some, as not all plant cards are in a plant-based archetype or in any archetype at all. I'll just go ahead and start with my favorite archetype, then move down from there. Of course, let's start with the best one, Aroma. There's a video of this that goes in more depth, so please watch it since this video is kind of more summarized. If you enjoy the security of gaining life points and using it to your advantage, this is your deck. Not only is the art pretty, but the style of play is engaging and flexible. For example, if you're versing a deck that's constantly targeting monsters, summon Mardram. If you're versing a deck that doesn't really have much backbone, that is not much defense, you know who to call. So it's really flexible. You kind of respond to how your opponent's deck is designed. And generally, plant decks swarm the field, so don't imagine your field to only have one big bad wolf on it, as each monster contributes to your combo and advantage. It's synchro and link based, and soon to be fusion. Oh my gosh, guys, you have no idea how long I've been waiting. I mean, you probably do because of my first video. I am so excited. It's only in a few weeks. The downside of Aroma is that it's trigger effects only. There is no monster with a quick effect, which keeps you from having much control on when you want to activate their effects. We do have trap cards, which are, of course, quick effects, and they allow you to decide when to initiate the trigger effects. You have to be proactive and pay close attention to what your opponent is doing and when to best interrupt them. Another downside is you're relying only on monster effects to get the advantage. Your spells and trap cards only help by pulling the trigger, per se. If you see anything along the lines of skill drain, you better have hoped you've thrown a harpy of some sort. Sylvan. I enjoy this deck. It's all about excavating and having a party in your graveyard, and I love that, as you can see in my previous video with my pure plant deck. Your graveyard is constantly active, similar to Telemant's playstyle, except it's with excavating like Adamancipator, and of course not at all crazy meta. But that's not what we're here for. I really enjoy this deck because it makes your graveyard practically your second hand in a sense, but of course, I hope you understand. Um, but yeah, you can kind of get an idea of it because of my previous Pearl Plant deck gameplay. So if you enjoyed that playstyle, Sylvan is pretty much like that. You excavate a lot and you're sorting the top of your deck a lot or the bottom. You XZ and Link Summon. Oh, and this Link to Danse Pion is the most recent support card, which is so good for the deck. A long awaited gem. The main downside is the deck is all for the luck of the mill. You're excavating and hoping for that special card to be on top. Yes, you have monsters and spell cards that allow you to place certain cards on top of the deck, but then you're going off of the luck of the draw to even get those cards to do that. But trust me, it's not as bad of a downside as it may sound. Give it a try. It's my second favorite plant archetype for a reason. Some cards to consider when making this deck is any plant monster that does well in the graveyard, such as Fengli, Rose Girl, Rose Lover, and of course Therion Lily. We all love our Lily. You can even throw in the Therion King and Field Spell to have your little Therion package, because you're never locked to plants. That is why I love Sylvan. So yeah, get creative with your extra deck. You can throw some synchro monsters if you decide to add some staple plant tuners like Rose Girl, Spore, and even Fengli is a tuner. Make some staple XZ monsters as well. You know, you have your main deck running some level 1s, 8s, and 7s. Downside Peon's effect will help you a lot with XZ summoning anyway. Rikka. Let us all acknowledge the beautiful, mystical art of this archetype. I love the ice parasols, the ball gown dress. The deck makes me feel like I'm in between lakes and valleys and mist is in the air. This deck is all about the power of tributing your monsters and your opponents. It's actually sick. Your opponent will be confused as you're dismantling their field by tributing their monsters. This deck can also get around many decks as they have a continuous spell that can potentially get rid of big, bad, unaffected monsters. And they have graveyard and hand effects that can potentially get around certain cards that, target negate or target destroy. As far as ideas go for deck building, you gotta be aware you're gonna get locked to only plants quickly with Rikka. That's a huge downside in my opinion, but it's understandable because this playstyle is, again, sick. Consider your classic plant cards like Lone Fire Blossom, Rose Girl, if you want to go into some synchro summoning. Mind you, this is only XE summoning. You can definitely throw some link monsters, especially Aroma Jasmine. She has a tribute effect. You got some good plant monsters, and even some other big plant XC, which can go well with Shunna's effect. Kaijus and Kurikata are also nice to throw in there, but be careful they're not plants. I know, it's annoying. Now you see why people mix it with Sunavalen, it just flows better. For spells and traps, 1 for 1 is a great card since Petal is a big combo starter. Terraforming is nice since the field spell is a big contribution to the disrupting your opponent. Other than that, throw whatever hand traps or staple cards you want. They do have some for their own that aren't bad, but any traps or staple cards will do. One downside is they're missing good main deck monsters. I don't know, Rika Princess added some flavor to the tributing mix, and it is a newer card for the deck. I'm hoping they throw some cards that pop a card or something. I don't know, it's like all the monsters that you want on your end field is basically in the extra deck. Main deck monsters are just good for the combo, and to me, the combo is going in circles. It's not hard. The main deck monsters mainly have some protection, targeting, gain attack, and of course the negate. I can see why this deck gets mixed with Sunavalen. It's just missing something so to be on its own. But again, the tributing playstyle Rika has going on is not to be underestimated. It feels so good to gently tribute your opponent's untargetable, indestructible 3000 attack monster. Plant Princess. Guys, this was my first plant deck ever. It was also my second deck ever, just after Blue Eyes, of course. I think we've all had our fair share with Blue Eyes deck. Anyway, these 4 girls are entitled to their names because they are the princesses, if not queens, to the plant archetype. Their effects call for plant support, not their own archetype. And their effects are not once per turn. You can literally throw them into any plant deck. Since they're all level 8, you gotta be careful with adding too many of them. You don't just dump 3 copies of each of them into the deck. Trust me, I've been there. Don't do that. When deck building, think level 8. Mind you, you're not locked to only plants. Never. Unless you throw some cards that'll lock you to that. Like Rika. Starters are Gigaplant and Lone Fire Blossom, of course. You can throw some Rose and Ingunar monsters too. I had Rosaria in my deck back in the day, and he might have potential for today's duel. Extra deck? Well, we have tons of great rank 8 monsters. They're revolved around XZ summoning anyway, as we have our first plant queen. She is amazing. She has a lot of effects that can help you fight around certain decks. Besides her, I'd recommend choosing some that have interruptions or negates. Spells and traps, again, think plant only. It's an old deck, so don't worry about searching for plant princess cards, because there are none. I've always liked the little combo Rose Princess and White Cloister gave me. It helped me get Gigaplant Gemini summon turn 1. Look, Cloister allows you to special summon any plant monster while you control no monsters. So you can summon any plant monsters, even these princesses, if you don't want to summon Gigaplant for some reason. I recommend summoning Lone Fire Blossom with that special summon, tribute itself, special summon Gigaplant, and then Gemini summon from there, as you may have seen in my previous video. I definitely recommend Trade-In and Polynosis, and somewhere between Pot of Prosperity or Desires, since you might find yourself running multiple of the same cards in the main deck, or find yourself not needing many extra deck monsters, depending how you go. Some downsides are these plant princesses don't work well alone on the field, unfortunately, besides Chirubime's last effect. I like to have Gigaplant and Chirubime together at least by turn 1 because you want at least 2 plant monsters on the field if you're going to use these princesses. Their effects call for swarming the field with plants. Even so, To put it straight, the biggest downside of this deck is that it's old. Yeah, I know it hurts, but that's what's keeping them in everyone's storage closet. I really love this archetype. It's actually where my pure plant deck video was built on. They inspired me to make it because I don't want to let go of these princesses. I really love them. I really wish Konami can give this deck new support already. But hey, Battling Boxers just got their new support, so I know Konami is looking at archetypes they've abandoned for a while, so there's still hope. Alrighty guys, I plan to continue exploring plant archetypes with you and hope you stick around because there will be a part 2 coming. Please feel free to comment and share your thoughts and ideas because I'm here for it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!